Hello, YouTube friends and family. Today is May 26th. If I sound a little nasally, I'm getting over a cold. But it's been a while since I've made a video. I've been working on a different series that'll be released at some point. But I wanted to kind of catch you up on what has been going on. So in late January, I had a really amazing couple of weeks where it felt like I had zero anxiety. Everything was lifted. It was magic. And that passed. And then I had some up and down waves of anxiety. But the beginning of May, I had a really terrible peak. And I call them peaks because with anxiety, that's how it feels for me. It feels like it's just a huge cluster of can't cope. But I had a really bad peak that lasted probably like 2 weeks. And in the middle of that, I had gotten my first COVID vaccine shot, and it made me feel pretty crummy. And then I also had a hairdresser appointment, and I was psyching myself out over that, and I made it there. I made it there late, which made me feel bad. I was only late by 5 minutes, but I still felt really bad. But I was just having a really hard day. And I told my hairdresser, who also struggles with anxiety, love her to death. She's very accommodating, but I let her know I was having a very hard day with anxiety. And I was just having to breathe through it, breathe very slow. I had to oh my gosh, I felt bad, but I had to hold my mask out because I couldn't breathe. It was so bad. And then once she got the foils around my face like this, I started cold sweating and hyperventilating a bit. And I told her I think I'm getting a little claustrophobic. So she was kind enough to put some cotton between my head and the foils, and that helped to open things up a bit. And as she had to go and wait for the foils and everything to process, most people would sit there scrolling on their phone, but I couldn't even look at my phone. I had to just close my eyes to reduce the amount of sensory input and kind of trick my body into thinking that I was asleep and taking a nap, because when you're sleeping, you're not anxious. I was also chewing gum, hoping that would help. I made it through. It was a 3-hour appointment, but I made it through. But it really, I was so exhausted after. I felt like I ran a marathon. It was really, really bad. And I kind of just had a breakdown. And I have all these tools. I have all these coping mechanisms. And sometimes there comes a point where it's not enough. For a lot of normal level anxiety that is not clinical anxiety, a lot of these tools that I mentioned can really work just fine. But I came to the conclusion that I need help. I need to get back on medication. And I was visiting with my parents, and I was gonna tell them, and I couldn't tell them without crying. It just felt like defeat in a way. I've been trying so hard to stay off of medication. And you may ask for what, and I'm not discouraging medication, but there are side effects, and not all medications are safe for pregnancy and breastfeeding, which I hope is, in my near future. There's side effects. Yeah, the side effects can be no joke sometimes. So it's not like you I'll just hop on medication and everything will be hunky-dory. It's kind of a process to find the right one for you too, and But I decided I need to take that step. It's become very apparent to me that I need that in my life. So I started trying to find a counselor, and because I knew I needed to at least take that step to get some proper care with someone. And I went through my insurance, and you can go online to your insurance. They usually have like a provider finder tool. And I had written down, gosh, probably like 10, 15 people to try to search through. Yeah, here's my notes. I wrote down a lot of names, and I called just about every one of them, and something didn't line up with each one. Either they were not actually taking new patients, even though my insurance said that they were, or they didn't actually take my insurance, which was wild, or something didn't work out. It was ridiculous. The other thing is counselors can't prescribe medication. And when I began my search for a provider, I was hoping to stay off of medication. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that won't be a huge deal. But I wanted it to be an option, is the thing. I knew that it might be something that I needed, so I wanted it to be an option. So my insurance didn't even show me anyone who could prescribe me medication. And I was getting so fed up and frustrated. And I started looking at those online platforms that you get all those ads for. And I applied my insurance to one of them, and it told me that the discounted rate was $40 a week. $40 a week. That's like almost $200 a month. To me, that was far too much. And that was just for counseling, not even like prescription management or anything. So I was talking to my friend about it, and she had gotten an ad for Cerebral. So she mentioned Cerebral, and I said, okay, well, I've had this experience with some of the online ones. They're really expensive, but maybe not all of them are the same. So I'm going to check out Cerebral. And I checked it out, and it asked me if I had Cigna. I believe it was Cigna, and I don't. So if you have Cigna, maybe that's the primary one that they take. But they still took my insurance information because, I mean, there's still a possibility that my insurance could reimburse me for at least part of the charge. But they have 3 different like tiers of care depending on what you need. I chose the lowest tier, which was counseling and prescription management. So the first month was $30, which is sweet. But then after, it's $20 a week. And that's their full price, which is half of what the other platform was asking. So I was like, you know what? I can't find anything else. I am sick and tired of it. I need help now. So I signed up for it, and I'm so glad I did. They start by scheduling a doctor's appointment so you can discuss medication and what's going on, really. And they also set up your first counseling appointment. Now, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it's 1 doctor's appointment and 1 counseling appointment per month, and your prescription management. So they mail out your prescription to your doorstep, which is amazing. So I had my doctor's appointment, and she kind of just started off by asking a couple routine questions, and then she said, okay, I want you to tell me what's going on. Why are we here today? Which to me is really nice, because I think that I'm a pretty well-spoken person. I can tell you what's going on, and I'm very analytical of myself, and it was nice to be allowed to talk freely. So I gave her a big rundown. She said, well, you seem pretty self-aware. And I've gone down the journey of medication before. I know what to expect and everything, but we decided to try something different. We decided to try Lexapro. She told me that Lexapro is the most commonly prescribed medication for anxiety. She said that because I've had issues with medications before, and because my body is pretty small, last time I weighed myself, I was 102 pounds, and I'm like 5'1". She suggested doing half of the dose that is commonly prescribed. The most common dosage prescribed is 10 milligrams, so she suggested 5. She said, with that low of dose, you should be able to stop without weaning if you need to, which is, whew, that's pretty cool. I would probably still wean. I would probably still wean myself if I decided. She also told me that the most common side effect is just sleepiness. She told me that it's one of the medications that has the least amount of side effects. So I'm so excited for that. Hopefully, cross my fingers, knock on wood. But she also said, because it's a low dose, it's less likely to have side effects too. And it is safer for pregnancy and breastfeeding, which again, hopefully that is something that is in my near future. Hi, Editing Jay here. That weird noise that you're hearing, that little, that's my dog chewing on her bone. I guess she really wanted to be a part of the video. I wanted to add my experience about the counseling appointment too really quick. It was wonderful. They gave me so many options for a counselor, and they all had like their little bios that you could read about them. And I kind of got a little overwhelmed by it because I'm like, oh, I got to pick the right one because they're human. Not all counselors are going to be the perfect fit for you. So I was like, you know what? The wonderful thing about an online platform is you can switch your counselor really easy. So I just picked one. And I feel like she was a great fit. And when I started the appointment, she started with, just so you know, if you feel that we are not the right fit, I am more than happy to help you find another counselor because I want you to get the best possible care that you can. And that's pretty profound. I love that. That was wonderful. But again, it was a great experience. She let me talk. She asked me a couple questions and let me talk, and it was wonderful. And, I have a lot of tools. So I told her right off the rip, I'm like, I want to tell you what I have, what I'm working with now, so that we can work on tools that I might not have. And she sent over a bunch of resources. There's a chat where you can message your coordinator, and your coordinator talks to your counselor and your doctor. But she sent it to the chat, so it's all in one place. And there's also other features in the Cerebral app that you can select and do some different things yourself. But so far, great experience so far. I also want to add that she told me that the price includes one counseling session a month. For me, I felt that was the appropriate amount. But if you need additional counseling sessions, it is $30 per session. I wanted to mention how the medication charge went through. So I was in communication with the coordinator, and I asked her about it. Is it going to be the generic version? And is it going to go through my insurance? And she said, yes, we are going to prescribe the generic version to keep the cost as low as possible. And yes, we're going to put it through your insurance. That is why they keep your insurance information. And I went online to my insurance, and I could see, all right, level 1, level 2, level 3 medications are this much. And then you could go to a document and see what level each medication is. The generic for Lexapro is a level 1, and for my insurance, it said level 1 is $10. And then I get an email once my prescription had shipped that Cerebral had charged me $10. So I'm glad that worked out. So the prescription arrived, and there was some stuff coming up in my life. I was going to take my CPC, Certified Professional Coder exam this week. I was actually going to take it today. So my plan was to take it Friday. It's a 2-part test, so it was going to be Wednesday and Thursday. So my plan was to start taking the medication on Friday so that I could get through the test. And, because sometimes when you take medication, there is an adjustment period, and sometimes you have side effects for just 2 to 3 weeks, and then you get through that rough part, and then you're in the clear. Sometimes you don't have any symptoms, and I'm really hoping for that. I took my first dose 22 minutes ago, so hopefully nothing crazy happens. But that was my plan. I had to postpone my test though. So next week I start the summer semester, which is my last semester of school. I'm doing 2 classes and an internship. So the classes start next week on Tuesday, and then I have rescheduled my CPC exam for Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday of this week, I get my second COVID shot. And I hear that the second is usually worse than the first. The first kind of knocked me on my butt. So hopefully that was the worst of it and I don't feel a lot with the second dose, but I don't know what the heck's gonna happen and I have no control over it. And that's something you have to kind of come to terms with, is sometimes you just don't have any control over anything. So if there's nothing I can do about it, if there's nothing that I can take action that will help this situation, I'm good. There's no tasks for me to complete. Like, I need to make peace with that. Anyway, so COVID shot on Friday. Next week, Tuesday, I start my classes. Next week, Thursday and Friday, I take my certification exam. The week after that, on Monday, I start my internship. And that is probably the biggest thing. I've done classes. I know how to do classes. I'm fine with that. My CPC exam, I'm pretty studied up. It's going to be at home. I feel fine with that. But the internship, I really, really, really want to make the best impression I can, because hopefully this will turn into a job. That is what I'm mostly concerned with. So I decided to start the medication today because I'm not doing anything except for reading ahead for my classes up until next week. So hopefully if anything's gonna happen, it happens now and it happens quick. So yeah, I mean, there was no point in postponing starting this medication anymore because things are only gonna get crazier. So wish me luck on that. I actually did a little bit of researching online about Lexapro. If you're a nervous Nelly, you probably shouldn't, I don't know, take anything you see on the internet with a grain of salt. But I found a Reddit page that is r/Lexapro, and the pinned post is a series of surveys, which I thought was an amazing tool. And it had a whole, probably 20 different questions, for Lexapro users to vote on their experience with Lexapro. So, for example, one of the questions was, what is the most common side effect that you have experienced? And how long did it take you to adjust to the medication? Which I found really, really, really insightful. And that's exactly what I wanted to know. Because, I mean, I could look up the WebMD and I could see, oh, common side effects could be this, that, and the other thing. But I want to know what is most common and how prevalent it is. So that was a really interesting resource. If you're going to get on Lexapro or something, that might be something to kind of look at if you'd like, if it's going to be beneficial to you. If it is just going to stress you out, don't do it. But I'm a digger. I need information. Information makes me feel prepared. So yeah, that's kind of the update. That is what's going on in my life. And yeah, I'm starting on medication again. So wish me luck. I will hopefully add in an update soon. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening to me. If you're going through something like this, keep in mind what works for one person won't necessarily work for another. And that's totally normal and totally okay. Stay in touch with your providers and give it some time, and give yourself some time too. It's a pretty intense thing to go through, and you can do it. If I could do it in high school, we both can do it now. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you later. Toodles.